Hola, estudiantes! Today we're going to learn about the Latin American revolutions. Let's jump right on into it. Here we go. I'm clicking the button. Magic can happen. I just got to press it twice. And there we go. All right, so Spain had controlled Central and South America, collectively known as Latin America, for the last 300 years. They were the dominant force in this part of the world, and they were just ripping out gold and silver from these continents as much as they could. But when Napoleon took over Spain in 1808, he put the Spanish king in jail. And so all the Spanish immigrants and the native peoples that used to be under Spanish control on this side of the world, they were like, the United States declared independence from England, and that worked out for them. France overthrew their king. They're being independent. That's working out for them. Maybe we should do the same thing. So they definitely were inspired by the American experience and the French Revolution. So let's check it out. All right, here's a bunch of the concept of, I think this is the history of Mexico. So a lot of concepts there. And then, yep, all this used to be owned by Spain, but no longer. And yeah, here are the years when these countries became independent. America before 1799, but then all these countries in Latin America will eventually become independent themselves, most of them in the early 1800s, and that's what we are talking about. Okay, so there was this really messed up racist system that the King of Spain encouraged the peoples of the Americas to follow. The system was called the castas, and in a way it's sort of similar to what happened in India with the Hindu caste system, but this system was totally based on race. And the short of it is, the whiter you are, the better you had it in society. And the people who were at the top level of Spanish society were peninsulares. These are people born in Spain. They held the highest offices. Creoles, Spaniards born in Latin America. But you see, and even though if you were a Creole, you were totally white because you're just like, yeah, my parents were born in Spain or came from Spain, but now I'm born in America. Creoles were not allowed to rise to the highest ranks of society. It was super messed up. So they were really unhappy. Mestizos, people of mixed ethnicity, and that's the majority of Latinos today. And then mulattoes, mixed Europeans and Africans. Slaves and natives were below the caste system entirely. So really it was a societal hierarchy based on race. And if you weren't a peninsulare, you weren't happy with it. And now that the top peninsulares is in jail, things are going to start changing. Okay, so yeah, here's a picture of the castas system. Yeah, so let's play everyone's favorite game, Identify the Castas. So here we go. Let's see. These people are probably born in Spain, but then they came to the New World. So if they were born in Spain, they're peninsulares, but if their son was born in the New World, he is a Creole. And then right here, you got a Mexican lady and a white husband. Their baby would be a mestizo, and this is the vast majority of Latinos in the world today. You got a black lady and then a white dude. Well, I guess it's a black lady, white dude. The baby would be considered a mulatto, half white, half black. And then these people, if they're all from Spain, they'd be peninsulares. And I know that even back then, like, it would be really common for a lady in Mexico, once she gets pregnant, she gets on a ship, goes to Spain, gives birth in Spain, and then brings the kid back, just so the kid's considered a peninsulare. That's super messed up. This picture would be a mestizo. It shows you it's kind of half native culture and half Spanish culture. I think that one's cool. And this one's probably also mestizo as well. You got a Indian mom, a white guy father. And this was really common in the Latin American world. And it's why there's so many people of mixed race there today. So, yeah, and I think I already mentioned a lot of this. People are angry about racist systems, okay? If there's nothing you can do in your life to change your race, and when society says you can't do this because of your skin color, it makes people really, really upset. So everybody had a reason to be mad, and once the Spanish king gets put in jail, things just start exploding all over this side of the world. So, yeah, look at this picture of Mexico City back in the day. Kids just tying their feet to a rope and just swinging around. That looks like a lot of fun. I'd give that a shot. And here's the map of New Spain right before it became independent. Interesting fact, they called Texas the New Philippines. I love that. That is amazing. And here in Nevada, we were considered Upper California. That's also super cool. All right, and the key leader in many of these independence movements was a dude named Simón Bolívar. And Simón is from Venezuela. He's commonly known as El Libertador. It's the Liberator in English. And Simón had a really interesting life story. He was born in the Americas, born in Venezuela, so he is a. Oh, wow, how have I suddenly forgotten what he is? He is a castizo? No. Well, anyway, he was upset that he wasn't a peninsular. He thought that was super rude. So his family was super wealthy. They sent him to France. He lived in France during the French Revolution, studied, had a good time. But then when he came back to the Americas, he got all these ideas from the French Revolution, was like, hey, we should do the same thing they did in France here. We don't need no king. We can have a democracy. We can all be happy and high five each other. He was also an excellent military general, so he went all over South America, fought the Spanish, kicked them out, created new governments. Just superb work, Simon. Superb work. I approve of what you do. So, yep, there's the man, the legend. Here's some of his quotes in Spanish. Maybe you can translate it. Here's another one. Super awesome dude. And this is the kind of sad thing about his story. So he saw what the United States was doing, and he said, hey, look, that's so many different colonies, these 13 colonies uniting together. We should do the same thing in Latin America. So in 1830, after a whole bunch of these places become independent, he calls a big council together, and he says, guys, we should organize as the United Provinces of Latin America. We generally all speak Spanish. We're generally all Catholics. We used to all report to Spain. Now let's just unite together and work together. But the problem is, a lot of the people at that conference just brutally hated each other. They did not get along. And Simon tried his best to bridge the gaps, to make concessions, to make people work together. But ultimately, Latin American countries refused to vibe, and a short while later, Simón Bolívar gets assassinated. So his dream of the United Provinces of Latin America did not come true, and still to this day, Latin America is very politically divided. I even know that throughout history, a couple of these Latin American countries have little wars with each other. Like famously, Chile and Argentina just don't like each other. They're super mad. Also, like Mexico and I think it's Guatemala. Like for whatever reason, they're not fans of Guatemala. Yeah, the more you know. All right, so here's Simon trying to connect the Latin American world together, and it's not going to work out. And he's kind of sad. No one wanted to join his team. So, but yep, a lot of these countries can give some level of their independence credit to Simón Bolívar, so everybody loves him. Okay, and yeah, these Latino countries, they really got started off on a bad foot because Spain had utilized this part of the world for its resources. They never really built it up with any kind of like manufacturing or factory-based economy. It's just they said, okay, we're going to rip the resources out, send them to Spain, and Spain's going to make money off of them. So once these countries became independent, they really didn't have any other choice for their economies other than to continue to provide raw goods to Spain or other European markets. And that's this concept of mercantilism, okay? It said Europe will make the whole rest of the world send the stuff to Europe. Europe will process that stuff and make the majority of the money. And to a degree, Latin America is still like this today. I think things have improved a bit, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And that's also just kind of sad. All right, so yeah, the puzzle of Latin American development. These guys are just working in the fields. Why are Brazil and Mexico not rich? Great question. All right, but now let's really focus on Mexico's history. That's the whole rest of this presentation. So Mexico can give some credit to Simón Bolívar, but the true guy considered to be the founder of Mexico is a priest named Father Miguel Hidalgo. And Miguel Hidalgo hated the Peninsulares. Oh man, if you were a Peninsulare, he went around Mexico and they were just murdering Peninsulares. As soon as he heard that Napoleon conquered Spain and the Spanish king couldn't send any help to Mexico, he's like, now's the time. He demanded an end to the casteist system, a redistribution of land, wanted independence from Spain, and after he led all these people around Mexico and killed a whole bunch of peninsulares, he got captured himself. And right before he was when they captured him, they ordered him to be killed by firing squad. They tied him up to a firing squad, guys pointing their guns at him, and his last words were this: "Long live religion, long live our most holy mother of Guadalupe, long live America, and death to bad government." And then they shot him and he died. And he also was known to say this: "Though I may die, I shall be remembered forever, and you shall be forgotten." And that's the truth. So I can't say his tactics were the best. I don't encourage you to go around and kill people because they were in a racially superior spot to you. But he's remembered as the founder of Mexico. So there you go. And yeah, the story of Mexico. La historia de Mexico en español en inglés. And yep, there's Miguel Hidalgo being a hardcore dude, leading the people, fighting for their freedom, making it happen. And yeah, so Miguel Hidalgo is on the Mexican quarter peso, and he's also on their $1,000 peso, so he's a big deal. All right, and so as soon as Miguel Hidalgo gets executed, one of the peninsulares turns against the other peninsulares in Mexico, and he raises an army, and his name is Agustin de Iturbide. And Augustine actually goes off and he beats all the other peninsulares and he wins and he says, I'm for the people. We're going to create a government of freedom and all this. And the people at first think Augustine de Iturbide's a great dude, so he establishes the government or the Republic of Mexico. But he gets elected president, or the first president, and almost immediately he says, "I'm the Emperor of Mexico. I'm going to set all these rules for myself. I'm going to build a palace." But then he was overthrown and he was killed. So he really is a lot similar to Maximilien Robespierre in that way. But after he's finally out of office, the government of Mexico tries to become a democracy. But as we'll see, man, Mexico has just had it so rough with its politics. The history of Mexico, there's not a whole lot of like thumbs up, great political maneuvering, consistency. That's just not the case. And it was messed up right from the start with this jerk Augustin de Iturbide. So let's keep checking out Mexico's history. There's Augustine. Viva Mexico, and look at all these awesome Mexican girls with fake guns. Like, just don't mess with Mexico, kids. It's a great country. Okay, so Mexico laid claim to so much land that used to belong to the Spanish king, and a lot of this land was very little population in it. So it was just this big open desert land in northern Mexico, so the western coast of the United States. And the USA was interested in that land. At this point in history, America only had the land about halfway through the continent, and they were like, we want to go all the way to the Pacific coast. So they were talking to Mexico, and Mexico's like, no, I want to keep the land. But Americans are kind of pushy, antsy people at times. And a bunch of illegal immigrants from America began going into Mexico and just taking over some of this empty land. And especially a lot of the land they took over is what today we'll call Texas. Back then they called it the New Philippines. How cool is that? And Mexico got really frustrated with all these illegal immigrants. And Mexico said, you know what? We will let you live here if you pay taxes to the Mexican government, if you promise to learn Spanish, if you convert to being Catholic, and if you don't have slavery. Well, at this time, the American illegal immigrants broke all four of those rules. They didn't want to do any of that. So eventually, the Mexican government sends in the military, and they start a war that today we call the Texas War for Independence. So it was a whole bunch of illegal immigrant Americans fighting the Mexican military. A really famous battle that happened there is the Battle of the Alamo. You can look that up. So let's check it out. Here's what America looked like in green, and Mexico looked like that in orange. So back in the day, Mexico probably had more land than the United States. And then, yeah, here's a little cartoon here to Mexican officials saying, oh, these American illegal immigrants coming into our country, ruining our lives. What jerks. And Yeah, so separatist movements were going on in Mexico, just showing you how little control the government had over Mexico. And here's the Battle of the Alamo. There's Davy Crockett getting killed by the Mexican army. And yep, so this is a cool little poster I found. Somebody posted this up in New York and Philadelphia saying, if you want free land in Mexico, come on and help us fight in Texas's war. So that's cool. And then the Republic of Texas. Yeah, Texas won their war and they became an independent country for a while. The country of Texas. It was a thing. Okay, so yeah, Texas was an independent country for 10 years. And then Texas was like, you know what? We'll just join up with America and become a state. So, and we were like, sure, join up, Texas. As soon as we did that, Mexico got really pissed off. And Mexico started talking a lot of smack to the United States. And America's like, all right, you want some? Get some. So America started the Mexican-American War. And the U.S. Marines and the U.S. Army invaded Mexico. And as a result, like America resoundingly won this war. And as a result, we took about half of Mexico's land. And today, what is we know as the states of California, Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. So all that used to be Mexico, but America took it over. And, well, during the Mexican-American War, I read a book about this, and the Mexican military was so disorganized and really didn't put up an effective fight against the American military. In fact, I think I can confidently say this. During the Mexican-American War, Mexican soldiers fought each other more than they fought the invading Americans. So, rough. All right, and yeah, there's the charging into Mexican positions by American cavalry, Mexican-American War. Here we are fighting each other and charging up. I think this is a hill outside of Mexico City. So we took all this land from Mexico. Ba-bam. All right, and then, yeah, Haiti, that's a video for another time. So that's it for me today. Peace out.